Whenever I felt unmotivated or burnt out during university, these 5 steps helped keep me motivated and actually even prevent feeling unmotivated in the first place. Welcome to Rising MD. My name is Ranesh and I'm an incoming medical student at the University of Toronto. If you are feeling unmotivated or burnt out or even inferior to your peers, I want you to know that you aren't alone. I'm sure many other people are feeling the same way. I hope these tips can help you, and let me know down in the comments if they do. Number 1, assess your current habits. You want to make sure that it's easy to really implement a routine that really helps you stay motivated and stay productive. So for example, during my university studies, a typical routine that I would have is that every day when I came home from university, I would spend about an hour either watching YouTube or eating dinner, and then actually immediately going to study afterwards until bedtime. At that point, I would round off the night by either playing games or calling up friends to just chat away. So if you aren't even a fan of gaming, you can also replace this strategy with other things you may enjoy, such as reading a book if you're literature oriented, or even just talking to friends or going for a run or walk. The point is, you want to reward yourself as a break for when you are implementing this routine. If your current habits aren't healthy, you're just increasing the chances you're going to feel unmotivated and burnt out. So as a part of assessing your habits and making sure that it gives you the best possible chances, you also want to include elements such as your diet or even exercise as a part of your physical routine. I think it is important to really carefully look at it and see, are you taking care of your diet? Are you getting enough exercise? With those key elements, as I kept them in mind throughout my university studies, it really helped me stay motivated. Number 2, address your social needs. So one thing I found throughout my university studies, especially with pre-meds, was that they would always try to focus on getting the highest possible GPA at the sacrifice of other things. So for example, they would decline every social invitation. Now, I'm sure we're familiar with the opposite of that, someone who doesn't focus on school at all and only focuses on their social life. You lose sight of your greater goals, such as getting into medical school or getting into a graduate program. However, I do want to advocate that you need a fine balance. You want to make sure that you aren't always just studying, but take time to really reach out to friends, go for food if you can. Such things can help you, I think, really bolster your resistance against feeling burnt out and unmotivated. So as a personal anecdote, for me, whenever I felt burnt out or unmotivated, the fastest way for me to recover and get back to my peak productivity would be to reach out to friends. Simply say, hey man, I'm not feeling too good right now. Can we just chat up for a bit and let's see where it goes? And I found in those moments, expressing that vulnerability and really looking and making sure my social needs were met really helped me stay motivated. Now, as a caveat, I do want to say, if you are in a position where you can't exactly reach out to friends, family, or acquaintances, I think you really should reach out to, for example, support staff or even your staff at school. I'm sure they have people that you can really talk to and really make sure your social needs are being addressed. Number 3, take unconditional breaks and break down the content. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Now you may be saying, Ranesh, you absolute fool. It's the night before my exam, night before my test. It is a sprint. I'm sprinting as fast as I can right now. And I want to slow down for a second. 1, you should definitely be studying and get off this video. But ultimately, in the goal of university and studying, no matter what you are pursuing, it is a marathon. I think we can learn something by, it isn't just about studying for long durations, right? It's about instead trying to retain a higher quality of studying. Chances are you've heard of the Pomodoro technique, where you'll be studying for 25 minutes and then after that you take an unconditional 5-minute break. The advantage of this strategy is that you're able to retain a higher quality of understanding while being able to readily study for long durations. Now, ultimately for me, whenever I did use the Pomodoro technique, I would actually change the intervals. Instead, I would go for a 50-minute study period and then a 10-minute break. However, one thing that I found was when I was learning very complex topics such as genetic pathways, I really felt that the Pomodoro technique was disrupting my learning rather than improving it. So I found that when I instead broke down my learning into different segments and then actually took took breaks after those segments, my learning would be overall better. So what that looks like in practice is, for example, if you finish an hour worth of slides or one lecture in university, then reward yourself with a 20-minute break or a 15-minute break. I found that this was an effective strategy that helped me break up my learning while still enabling me to persevere for long hours. 4. Focus on what is meaningful to you. Now we want to avoid superficial motivation here, because at the end of the day, when you're putting in those long hours while other people are going out to the pub or going out to the movies, you want something to really keep you grounded and keep you motivated. A pillar from which you can stand on and really say, this is what I'm going to pursue, and I'm willing to sacrifice those things momentarily to get to the goal that I want to. Now, for me, this was pursuing medicine, the greater goal of always wanting to help people. But if your goal isn't actually to pursue medicine or another healthcare related field, there is still intrinsic motivation to be found there. So for example, if your end goal is to, for example, pursue financial freedom, your greater end goal could be providing for your family, or just even having entertainment, or even getting a dog. Ultimately, it's up to you to choose what drives you intrinsically, and I really encourage you to reflect on that, because that is what is going to keep you grounded during your university studies. 5. Ask for help when you need to. Now, while this journey may be full of solitude at times when you're in your room studying for hours on end, ultimately, it's hard to feel motivated when you are overwhelmed with your responsibilities. But one thing I found during my studies in particular was asking for help was a great way to stay motivated. For example, when I had consecutive exams coming up, but I also had 15 hours of work scheduled, I was feeling overwhelmed. However, due to the nature of my research job, I mustered up the courage to really ask for help and see if I could postpone my responsibilities until I was done my exam. Now, I found this to be a great way to keep me motivated because it removed some of that burden from my shoulders and enabled me to focus in a highly motivated manner on my studies. Within the unique circumstances of your situation, I really encourage you to see if there are any areas of your life that you can put off until the end of exam season or midterm season, for example. I found that this was an effective way to keep me motivated, and maybe it will work for you too. Those were 5 tips that helped me in the past and really helped me excel academically during university. Now hopefully they work for you too, but let me know down in the comments what you think about them. Now, one thing I want to say is that motivation is something that always comes and goes. Now, if you're not feeling motivated right now, I want you to know that that is okay. Now, one thing that can help you is having someone to study along with. So check out this video, which is a beginner study with me video, where you can put it on while you do your studies, and hopefully we can be motivated and productive together.